All right, shall we get started? All right, I think thank you so much for everyone who makes the time to come and join us this very reactivated, the very first meetup we have got. I think some of you guys may have noticed the communication that we have decided to rebrand this into from Microsoft Advanced Analytics to Newfound Advanced Analytics. And I suppose from the communication, really, we were hoping to reflect that. To be more vendor agnostic and also trying to be more welcoming to all different people in different analytic of their journey and also all the various tools that they have got in terms of the technology stack in their organization. Queensland, why? Well, we are in Brisbane. We want to be more inclusive. So anyone, in case if Nigel moved to Nusa Head in the very near future, we could still have him with us, right? So I think a couple of things that we really are hoping to be able to reactivate this is we are hoping to do a few more experiment, like things like maybe having the meetup at this time, like lunch and learn, where people don't have to sacrifice their family time, but they can still attend some of these meetup and learn something very important to help growing their career and also help building their organization with advanced analytics. We probably would also try to look into building this more to a fortnight meetup so that people don't have to wait for too long in order to get another important meetup that they can learn something. So today, I think we have got Nigel, but before Nigel come and present our thing, Deepak had had prepared a few important things for us that he's gonna share with us. Over to you, Deepak.
Thanks, Jason. Welcome to the meetup team, and thanks for taking the time out this afternoon to listen to Nigel. And so this series is Let's Talk Data. We're going to focus on things that are about data, right? Be it data platform, data engineering, data science. So everything about data is going to be, in this series going forward. So what are we planning to do in this new avatar, right? So we're going to do fortnightly sessions grouped into specific series. Like Let's Talk Data is about data platforms, and we'll have a business value series. We'll have a use case series. So it's actually helpful for us to share what is being done in this region, so that everyone's aware as to, all right, you're doing this way. That gives me an idea. So and sharing of ideas as well. So a platform for that. And we are also planning to have diverse topics. And as Jason said, this is not going to be vendor specific. So we're going to be vendor agnostic. And those topics could range from product updates to new products that are getting released, best practices, use cases, business value, drivers, etc. And we will also look at conducting some hands-on workshops, on products that are really being used and really new to this market. That could be from Databricks or Tableau or SageMaker or Data Factory, anything that the members are interested in. And we also have created a YouTube channel to host all the sessions, and we're going to record it and host it there for on-demand consumption. If people are not able to make it to the session, they can always listen to it in the YouTube channel. And we will also share data events across the globe that will actually be useful to the members. There are actually a couple of events that we'd like to share in this meetup that is going to happen in the near future. And finally, we were also looking to have some networking sessions, so where we can have some fun, have a good, quick chat with each other, know each other better, and grow together. Right. So that's the motive, of this rebranded group. Now, about the organizers. So I'll let Jason introduce himself, and I'll also let Brecken introduce himself. So we'll have a quick intro about the organizers. So Jason, over to you.
Yeah, so my name is Jason Den, and you can see, when I'm not running this meetup, I also run a podcast. It's called the analytics show. So basically, I interview and share some of the business leaders around the world, how they run a high-performing organization using the data and analytics. Other than that, I run a data analytic consulting company, focusing on the insurance, helping them to build advanced analytics in their organization to help their customer and their product. So that's me.
Thanks, Jason. Bracken, if you could do the honors.
Certainly. Cool. Hi, guys. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm Bracken Chalcroft. I have been into IT industry for 16 or so years, predominantly in the payments, banking, fintech sector. I am a consultant, currently consulting to Heritage Bank on multiple types of initiatives. And I'm also a data science student at RMIT. And yes, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bracken. And finally, I'm Deepak. I'm a solution architect with Databricks based in Brisbane. So I've been in the data and AI space for almost 9 years now. So I've worked with IBM. I was the Watson solution architect for Australia and New Zealand for about 5 years. And then with Oracle in a cloud platform, as a solution architect, and now with Databricks. So I've been in the space for almost 8+ years. Worked with multiple clients across Australia and New Zealand. And I also speak at events and conferences. And I'm also a prolific inventor. So I have about 5 patents and 3 intellectual properties. So I try to find opportunities to invent something, during my free time. And that's me. All right. And thanks, Jason and Bracken. So let's move ahead. All right, so that's the link for the YouTube channel. So we will also post it in the Meetup group. So all these recordings will be available in the channel for you to take a look, at your free time if you're not able to make it to the session. All right, so as we said, we're going to share some events that are happening across the globe, which will be more relevant to our members. So the first thing is a Data and AI Summit, which is going to happen, in the 3rd week of November. So if you're interested in data and AI, solutions, the products, and what are people doing across the globe, and if you want to have some virtual trainings, you can probably register and build your own agenda and take part in some sessions that are interesting. So I'll post this registration link as well in the Meetup group. And then there is a data warehousing event happening, that Snowflake is running, and there are also 40+ sessions. If you can, you can go to this link, which will also be posted, and register and attend some sessions that are interesting to you. And our next meetup session will be on the 18th of November at 5 p.m. So we are trying to alternate between lunch and learns and evening sessions and see what works better, and for our members. So this will be an evening session at 5 p.m. and this will also be part of the Let's Talk Data series. The topic for this session will be modern data architecture in Azure, and speaker is James O'Keefe. So he's a partner solution architect from Microsoft and Databricks. So this meetup will be created and will be available for RSVP by end of today. All right, so let's kickstart the session now. So let me introduce Nigel to the members here. So Nigel is a highly motivated leader, and he has worked with BI groups for quite some time. So he's been a BI analyst and a manager for BI teams who has managed multiple BI teams, and he has also led the BI team at Flight Center for the last 2 years. So he has proven track records in actually building data products, data solutions, and delivering business value. So he's also a great speaker. So he speaks at multiple events, and the way he articulates his thoughts will be really interesting. So thanks, Nigel, for presenting to this user group, and we are very much interested to listen to you now. Over to you.
Thanks, guys. So I'll just I'll share my screen. 1 second. Okay, so you guys can see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Yep. Okay, hi guys. Thanks for joining in, for those who are here live, and those of us who will join in for the recording for this later on. It's like I'm going to talk today about some data accelerators, how to get the best business value very quickly out of your analytic solutions. I've been working for a long time with companies, and I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've learned a lot about building teams and about speeding delivery and what's important to businesses. So really, who am I is the first point of call, and why should you listen to me? Well, you shouldn't in some ways, but you should also, because you can learn from a lot of what I've done wrong. And some of the things that I've done that have worked. So, look, you know, I consider myself a little bit of a disruptor. I change organizations. I mess around with things. I tend to cause a little bit of flurry around in organizations because that's the best way to make change. I consider myself a bit of an intrapreneur rather than an entrepreneur. I go into an organization and I'll work with an organization to change how they think. I am a purveyor of bad dad jokes, and I don't apologize for that in advance. So if I make bad jokes along this presentation, you'll just have to forgive me for that, or tune out, because it will happen. And those of you who know me will know it will happen lots. I am a business and data architect. I spend a lot of time architecting how businesses operate with data. I'm really interested in information. I am a data junkie. I think in numbers, I think in patterns. Everything I do is about patterns and about making sure that I can repeat it. I love my couch. I am a couch lover, and I am a team builder. I've built multiple really high performing teams over the years. Fortunately, I happen to have had some great people to work with, so that's made that easy and has taught me well. I think they've managed upwards as much as I've managed downwards, but we've managed to produce some very high-performing teams over the years in multiple companies. So I want to talk to you about how the world is changing. Now, even pre-COVID, the world was changing. With the amount of data and amount of information we had out there, the thirst for information around the world is increasing just at a phenomenal rate. But because of COVID as well, it's kind of forced people to work in the digital sphere. It's forced them to adopt the cloud. And it's forced them to do that at such a rate that the information pouring in is huge. It's unmanaged, it's unwieldy, and it's not really thought about or used properly. So we're really drowning in data while we have this thirst for information. Interestingly, the people are looking at and analyzing data in their average and their normal day work outside of business. People are analyzing COVID. They're looking at graphs. They're understanding what a curve is somewhat. So people are really uplifting their thinking about how they handle information in their personal lives, and the technology that is available on mobile phones and everything else to analyze every aspect of their life is making a significant change to how the world is being operated. There's more data obviously being captured than ever. Like I said, not all of it's good data, but we also live in a world of alternative and opinionated facts. Unfortunately, we have a situation at the moment where everyone will have their own opinion, and you know, for every expert, there's an equal and opposite expert. You've heard that before. There's so many different ways of looking at things, so people don't know who to trust or what to trust. Everyone in every organization I speak to wants to control their information. They want to understand it, they want to benefit from it, but they really don't know how. Most people don't know how to handle the amount of information that's coming through. The world's changed. I love this quote from Nietzsche. It's terrible to die of thirst in the ocean. Do you have to salt your truth so heavily that it does not even quench your thirst anymore? Really, the information in the world has become so much out there, but are we actually manipulating that information so much that it actually doesn't help us anymore? Are we actually getting to the stage where we're drowning in an ocean of information that really doesn't benefit us anymore? In 2016, Gartner estimated that 60% of big data projects failed. Now, really, a year later, they revised that and said they failed, and said that they were too conservative with that estimate, and they put the failure rate at close to 85%. Now, that's pretty accurate from what I've seen out there. Most data projects do fail, and they fail pretty badly to just exceed any value. I've seen a lot of data projects out there that start out with the right intent, but they take 2 years to deliver, and they end up not delivering any business value. And in that time, they've lost business value, and they've lost the business buy-in along the way. And a lot of these things get shut down or never implemented in production. So I always ask, why do data projects fail? There's a lot of reasons. Obviously, they're too slow to implement. They're too complex. A lot of times they're over-governed. So if we over-govern our data project, that's kind of one of the reasons why our data is too slow. It's expensive, but it's expensive without understanding the reason why and the value you're actually returning out of that. There are bottlenecks, and usually it's either your infrastructure, your IT team, or your analytics team that are actually your bottlenecks, because the IT teams and the analytics teams believe they're the only ones who can handle data, and that becomes a problem because they get all the work. Business moves on thinking they need something else. Thinking of a data project as having an end is a mistake. This is where a lot of projects fail. It's because they put it as a project and they go, hey, all we need to do is implement and then we're finished, we're done. Data project is a ever evolving sort of thing. And I always think that they're not looking at the right sort of questions, not answering what really should be out there. Now, look, I've made a lot of mistakes over the time. Most of my mistakes are around things like assuming everyone else thought like me, assuming that the data was accurate. I believed at first when I started this sort of world that people actually wanted real-time data. Sometimes they do, but most times when they say real-time, they don't actually mean it. I always provided data and numbers and not insights initially. Then I learned that the insight was the valuable bit. The data and the numbers, just because I think that way doesn't mean everyone else does. And I always wanted to provide something that was perfect. Now, if you strive for perfect in a data world, you will never, ever get there. So that sounds terrifying. So what do we do? I'm really glad you guys asked that, because, I wouldn't have gone anywhere with this if you hadn't asked that question. So what do we do about it? How do we provide value? So to me, the first step is finding out what the business actually needs. And a hint with this, it's not the reporting they're currently doing. They're currently doing, they don't need it. It's something that they don't need you to do for them. Over time, yes, it's something you're going to replace, but it's not the reporting they're currently doing. It's not the first thing they ask you for. So what you need to do is ask the business for the business outcome and not the report they're looking for, not the analysis they're looking for. Ask for what the business outcome is. And ask at all layers of the business. Ask at the exec layer, but ask at the front line. Ask at all layers of your business there and follow the money. Where is the money coming into the business? That's where it's important. That's where it's important to ask these people. Every exec in the world has their opinion about how the business is operating. If you talk to people on the front line, I guarantee you they have a lot simpler a question that will provide a lot higher a value. And they probably have the answer for you. So if possible, co-locate with areas of the business. I really love to sit with an area of the business and work, even if we're working on separate things. If I'm sitting beside them, I tend to hear their problems. I tend to understand what they need because they understand the constraints they're having and they've just accepted it in a lot of ways. If you want to actually change that, you want to actually hear something they're doing that might seem ridiculous to you. And the pertinent question you should always be asking to the business, what can't you do that you need to do because the data is not there to support you doing it? Not just what can't you do, that'll open up a world of complaints. What can't you do that you need to do because the data is not there to support you doing it? That's the first thing you actually want to find out. What is it that you need to change for the business? What do you need to help them with? How do you need to move them forward? Second step, produce something of value. Anything of value. If you're talking about having a data project, if you're talking about making data available to the business, you need to be delivering something and delivering something fast. Yes, you need to be doing a whole pile of infrastructure stuff under the covers. You need to be producing a whole pile of other things that the business needs that don't know they need. But you will lose them along the way if you don't provide them something of value. It's what I call a dual speed sort of approach. Answer a burning business need. What is the one thing that they really want to know? And show that you understand the value of that. You only need one thing. Only answer one thing at a time. Don't over-engineer it. Make it simple. And deliver it fast. So you want to just do something on the covers, proof of concept, something out there that just delivers that value. You want to just pull a report up. You want to connect it directly to the data. You want to get something out there. If you don't get something out there, you seem to be invisible to the business with everything else you're building under the covers. And ask, did it make a difference? It'll give you a really good understanding of what to do next. So step 3, automate, automate, automate. So what you're talking about here is anything that you don't have to manually do time and time again. You need to automate it. You need to get it up and running. You need to automate it so you can repeat it. Understand that technology is going to change. It's going to change at a far faster rate than you can handle, than your team can handle. You need to assume it. You need to plan for it. You need to be coding in such a way that you can throw away that code. I used to say you need to throw away that code in 2 years. In a lot of ways, you have to be able to throw away that code in 6 months now or less. The amount of times that I've gone into an organization, and Flight Centre was a prime example of this, is that the technology coming out by Azure and Databricks was changing at such a rate that we changed our technology stack multiple times and our architecture multiple times during our first 6 months of implementation. If we'd not planned for that, and if we'd not set that up, and if we stubbornly moved on in the path, we would have lost some of the best value we earned from what we were doing. This is where I talk about infrastructure as code and DevOps and DataOps. Everything that you build for an environment should be set up in such a way that you can deploy it to another environment and that you can change it. And you need to change it fast. Again, it is all about accelerating what you're trying to do the entire time. You need your cloud solutions to be scalable. You need to be able to scale them up when you need them, scale them down when you don't. It's where you start to talk about cost control so that you don't lose the business just on sheer cost. And build in layers. this is something I've learned over many years, and those of you who have worked with me have heard me say this a million times. Everything is a pattern, everything is a layer, everything is a component. Every component does a job, and the next component that takes that next stage on assumes that that component has done its job and starts to do its job as part of that next component. That means when you change something, you can change a component at a time. You really need to set these things in short, small chunk bits, and you need to automate it. So I always talk about data has gravity. So you want to move it as little as possible. This is just an example architecture, and it's one that we've built multiple times in this sort of example. If you're pulling data from a source system, now Versor happens to have a data factory accelerator to be able to do this first step really, really quickly. But basically, you're pulling everything through into a raw zone in your data lake. And the point of this is accelerate that data through to your raw zone as quickly as possible. That raw zone is untouched, really, data. All you're doing is converting some things to formats that are usable. We tend to use either Avro or Parquet, depending on the format of what data is coming in. But we don't do much in this conversion rate. We don't cleanse it. We don't transform it. And this is where you immediately start to get value out. This is what I'm talking about. Most people go, look, we have to build the raw zone, structured zone, refined zone. We have to get the trusted zone out there before we can start doing anything in our presentation layer. If you do that, you've failed before you've begun, because you will have lost the business. So at this stage I say, get your data, pull it in, get it into your raw zone as quickly as possible, expose it. Only what's accessible, obviously, with your for security reasons. You need to be very careful, but expose that data to people who can use it. And your data scientists, you guys probably are the ones who are operating with this. I don't call myself a data scientist, by the way. I understand numbers, and I understand data, I understand analytics, but I'm not that next level of math that you guys are. But give your data scientists a Databricks cluster. Connect it directly to Power BI from your raw zone. Get them to start producing value straight up. If you manage that team, do it yourself. Get it out there. Get that data, get that moving. You can do a whole pile of things like that. Then you can concentrate on structuring it and refining it for those more post-monthly sort of reports. This sort of stuff here, valuable for reducing costs of producing data in a business, but they're not actually going to give you the insights that you will change the way your business operates. What you need to be doing is working from this zone for your insights initially. Most systems aren't good at analytics, so that's why you have to get it out of those systems. You can use Power BI directly, and for step one, like I said, you want to present that data and you want to get it out quickly, do it. But do it while you're building this layer, because this layer business won't understand, and then you want to move out from there. But once you get that data in, and once you get the first piece of data and that second piece of data, it'll have gravity. People will start coming to you for information. And this is where I get a little bit controversial in democratizing the data. You don't want to be the bottleneck of producing at the analytics layer. You really want to be able to give people tools to operate with their space. And I talk about ungoverned data. Now, people will tell you govern everything. I say if you govern everything, you will never get that business value out of it that you need. So you need to have ungoverned space. People to work with the data, bring in their own data, other data sources, and ungoverned analytics. You'll never have enough people to provide all the thinking for the business that you need to be able to produce. Plus, the people closer to the problem are the people who will actually answer the questions for you. So you want to get your ungoverned data and then get your governed data under control. You do need governed data. You need 100% accurate data for the governed space. For ungoverned things, you don't actually need 100% information. For financial areas of business, yes, you need to be 100% accurate. For other areas of the business, you generally need trends. You need something that gives them enough information to make a decision, because it's all about the decision. Don't think about the report, think about the decision they need to make, the value that they will gain from this area. So how do you do it? You give them a swamp. Again, a lot of you will have heard me bang on about this. You have a data lake and you want your data lake to be clean. You have a reporting area that has all your governed, controlled reporting. You want it to be clean, but you really want to also give them a space to operate and build a swamp. Build them an area where people can fiddle around with the data and try things. It will be messy. It will become messy. Be okay with that. That's not your governed space. What you want to do is go through and drain it every now and then and have a look at it and see what value is in there that you can put into a governed space. So you want to create this ungoverned space where users can bring in their own data and generate their own analytics. Isolate it so it has limited viewers and limited capacity, and consistently drain it, looking for creative ideas to uplift. You want to have a look at what value they're actually pulling out of this themselves. You'll also identify people for your analytics teams from doing this. If you don't let them operate, they will operate themselves. They'll do it in Excel. They'll do it somewhere else where you can't see it. You want to see it and you want to be aware of it. In Power BI, I just put it in separate workspaces. I even call it ungoverned or Power Swamp if I'm being really cheeky, because Microsoft calls everything Power something. So that's sort of the area I operate with. So really a summary of this is you want to remove yourself as a bottleneck and democratize the data within security guidelines. As I said, build business value first. Remember that data has gravity. Bring it into one place. Enable and empower your users, give them tools, guide them, help them, teach them, give them that data literacy. Understand governed and ungoverned spaces, provide them both, but understand the value of them both. Become the solution, not the bottleneck, as I said. Automate it all. Everything, you need to be talking about data ops. If you're not talking about it, you should be. If you don't have a DevOps engineer in play for your infrastructure and your cloud ops, you are losing value dramatically. It's a big thing that you're missing. First time I started to do infrastructure as code in play, I realized how much I was missing. Consider security in everything you do. Now you need to do that. That's where you're dealing with data, but don't over-secure it. If it doesn't need to be secured and you're giving it to people who have access to that information from another source, it doesn't matter so much. Let them analyze it. But don't give users what they want, give them what they need. And if you want to do it all faster, obviously call for help. There are consulting groups that help you. There are a lot of people you can talk to around the space. Obviously, Versor does this, who I'm working with at the moment, who are Microsoft partners and Databricks partners. We work very closely with both of them. Call out to Databricks themselves. Deepak here has a lot of knowledge and has helped a lot of our groups get things under control. Call out to Microsoft. The guys there will help you. You know, this is where you need to actually be talking to other people around the space. I'll talk to you a little bit about Versor just as a short. I'm not going to take a lot of time on this, but Versor obviously have 67 odd team members, or probably more than that now around Australia. I am their Queensland representative, and we'll be growing Queensland along the way. Obviously, we are a Microsoft Gold partner. We're also one of 2 Databricks strategic partners in Australia. So we work very closely with all these sorts of guys. We have a whole pile of customers across a whole range of areas. If you're interested, read through these slides at your own leisure. We also have a couple of offerings in the marketplace if you're interested in accelerating your data platform modernization. We have our Data Factory Accelerator that we can provide you with, or accelerate accelerate your data science journey with a data science hack. These things are all available on the Microsoft Marketplace, or you can reach out to see how we can help you. They're a starting point of ways we can operate and work with you. Obviously, that's another slide on our Data Factory Accelerator. We were Bathurst partners this year, so we're very much about having the race cars on everything we do right now. That's really it from me. So I'll probably hand over to any sort of questions that you want to ask. I've been talking for way too long now, so yeah, ask away, and we'll see what we can answer for you.
I'll probably get it started. So I suppose you touch on the data silo, and also not stopping people to bring the data in. I think that is probably one of the challenges I see across many places, where IT is putting too much of the constraint. Now, from the governance perspective, from the security perspective, I can totally understand that. What do you suggest the better way that where the business can bring in the data that they would find, especially the external data, where they find that it will be useful for them, while also not breaking the policy, not bringing the cyber security threat into the organization?
Yeah, so data itself, if it's an open source data, bringing that into the organization is not going to be a risk for you. So this sort of thing, when you're connecting to external data sources that are publicly available, is a lot less of a problem for you releasing that data and that information. You do want to have obviously the people's workstations and computers locked down so they're not doing stupid stuff. But really the balance to me comes from bringing as much of your internal data into one space as possible and classifying that, so you're protecting that from your private information. Everything else, it's really the responsibility of everyone to manage information and be sure that that's not let out further. You want to control what you control, but the thing is, to me, I keep coming back to, people are going to do it anyway. If they're not doing it with your tool set, they're going to do it in Excel. They're going to bring it into Excel. They're going to email it around. And it's going to be a lot less secure than putting it into a space they can operate with. You find most analysts will just do it on their computer for a long period of time before they publish anything. And that's pretty secure in a lot of spaces. Am I answering the question, or am I going off track?
No, I think you were answering the question. Yeah.
This one point that you raised about having this ungoverned space where create a data swamp. Well, I'm actually I was quite impressed with that, because that opens up a lot of ideas for me. Because like when you know that what your folks in the organization are doing, how is the data access pattern, what are they doing with the data, how frequently are they doing, that actually helps you to consolidate all the tools required, and probably provide them with equip them with better tools, instead of creating business silos and technology silos that that could create a lot of problems. So that probably is a very good idea, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of the talk out there for a long time has been, don't let your data lake become a data swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that's correct in essence. You don't want your basic data lake to become your data swamp. But what you'll find is, if you govern it to the point where everything is pure and you don't allow for any other space, then you'll never actually provide business value. You'll never get there.
Right.
And people will do it outside of your control. If you provide a space, and if you just try to do it all quick, it becomes a data swamp. So you need to actually have it isolated. It's a valuable insight for yourself. I mean, really, analytics teams surprisingly analyze other teams. analytics teams don't tend to analyze themselves. And you should be. I mean, you should constantly be going, hey, what are other people doing? What is our customer base doing that we should be doing? And that just gives you visibility. It's marketing in an internal sense, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I really think that marketing to your business by providing value and by providing them with a space, and they think you're wonderful for it, for starters, but it also helps you to understand exactly what they need. And if you're not understanding what they need, you're lost. IT departments have been separate for so long, for way too long. You can't be. You need to be a part of the business, and you need to be providing your insights.
Perfect. Thanks, Nigel.
Cool. I've got a question for you, Nigel. Thank you very much. That was excellent presentation as well. You heavily emphasized on automate. So I'm just curious, do you see the risks of automating too much though? Is there a fine line between automation and human interaction?
Yeah, so when I say automate, I really emphasize automating your environments, automating the data flows, the way it operates from one to another, and separating those events. When you're coding your transformation, you're not going to be able to automate that, really. I think that's where your human interaction comes in, and you can't automate your report builds and your analytics tools to that stage. You should automate the deployment of that, and it's something that very few people are doing right now, automating particularly in their Power BI reports. That a lot of them don't have any sort of source control or automatic deployment. There is a fine line. There are things where you can't automate and you shouldn't, but for the things that you can, you need to get it under control, I think.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
If you got other opinions on this, I'd love to chat about this sort of stuff. I'm always refining my theories, right?
Yeah. No. Maybe we will.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That's good.
I think we saw someone just join us, but looks like he has just left. Any question from Lens and Kay Poboski? Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us all this way.
Thank you. I missed the first part. Sorry, I only got the email just before, so I just jumped on the end there, but that was really interesting. Thank you.
That is okay. Well, we have the session recorded and will be uploaded to the YouTube. So once that is uploaded, I'll share with you the link to the video. So you can still watch the very first session. I really suggest to get it. I think Nigel had a great presentation, some really good gold nuggets in there that you don't want to miss out.
No, cool. Yes, definitely. Thank you.
And I see there was a message from Lens. So Lens has a question of any tips on how to get the business to be invested in their data. Over to you, Nigel.
Yes, yes, I do. Talk to them. Ask them exactly what they need to do. Don't ask them how they need to analyze their data. Really, once you start to talk to people about the problems they're having in their business, they will automatically engage with you. It's hard to get them to invest and spend that until they see some value come out of it. Also around the data input becomes the same sort of problem. When you talk to people about data input, they don't care about the data input until they see the result of it. So the data will be poor from that respect. Engaging with them is really about talking about the business value and the exciting stories. You talk about what is possible, what is possible with information. You'll find that these people are, like I said, they're analyzing their personal lives day to day. I would see, you think you'd find someone, hard pressed to find someone out there who isn't analyzing or hasn't analyzed their step count, the way they sleep, their calories, their other food intake, All these other sorts of things people are already analyzing. So if you start to engage them on that base, I mean, really, if you think about it, how many people have ever been taught how to use their mobile phone? You know, who ever went to a course to learn how to use a mobile phone? It's so simple, but people are analyzing their lives with this stuff every day, and they're engaging with it because they get a value out of it. You need to give them the value out of it, and they'll automatically do it. Someone suggested once with the COVID app to get people to install that. Really, you should gamify it and just tell them how many people you've had in contact with every day, and see if you can improve it. To reduce the number of people you've had close enough contact with, and then people would have downloaded the app just to analyze their lives. You know, this is about giving a value back or a perceived value back.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, just one thing. With everyone's been interested in Power Apps to get the data into out of Excel. So yes, that's a great thing.
Yeah, start them there, but help them with it and uplift them. I think is usually the answer. If they're starting to bring their data in, help them with it. Get it into a central place. If you can uplift them to bring it or bring that data in for them sometimes, and let them, pull from a data set in Power BI, they'll be laughing.
Yeah. No, exactly the same way in data migrations that I've done, that always people want to see the data in the end system rather before they'll actually invest in actually cleansing it.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of ways I say, don't cleanse in the first instance. Give them to them as bad as it really is, and identify what the problem is in the data. If we had an instance where in Flight Centre we were being asked for information, and people were complaining that the report was wrong, was obviously wrong. And then we actually went back, and rather than did that, we did a quality report on the source data itself, and told them how many errors were coming in of what the data was and why it was a problem, and why they couldn't get insights out of it. And once they started to see that, they changed their tune very quickly, and they became on side into actually helping us get the data under control and cleansed. But generally, for your first leg, give it to them as raw as possible. Just go, look, this is what the data looks like before we manipulate it. Try it. See, you'll see how hard it is. They'll come for help.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thanks, Nigel. There was some really good insights. I'll actually have to jump on to another call, but I'll leave it to the group here so you can take any more questions. Thanks, Nigel.
For
really
sure.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak.
I think if there is no any other question from Kate, I still do not know your first name, so apology for that. And Lance, I think, and finally, yes, Kay for Katie.
Katrin, sorry, it's Katrin.
Katrin.
Sorry.
I like Katrin. And I think thank you so much, Nigel, for coming on to this presentation for this meetup to help us reactivating this whole meetup. Hopefully, we will bring it back to life and bring more this sort of event and have you come back again in the near future and share some of your knowledge and expertise. And
yeah, hopefully I didn't bore people enough to put them off coming back for the next session for you guys.
No way.
You have a number of people staying all the way to the end. Otherwise, some of those people, they need to jump off because of other meetings. I think this is probably one thing that Brecken, Deepak, and I were talking about in terms of the timing. What is the right time in terms of having the meetup? So this is something that we are experimenting for. Catherine, if you did not hear this, and this is something that we are trying to experiment, i.e. Is lunchtime good or maybe evening time? I think one thing that I found personally, evening time is not so ideal because it means that I have to sacrifice the family time. So that is something that we're trying to find out what is optimal for everyone. So feel free to let us know what time works for you. I was hoping that lunch and learn will be able to attract quite a bit of crowd.
I like lunchtime. Works
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. We were just talking about lunchtime. Perhaps we should start at 10. Sorry. 12.
Yeah, the lunchtime thing I think is really good because a lot of people, they always use the excuse of 5 p.m. they can't get home or whatever. So
Exactly. That is what I was thinking. And also lunch and learn. Since that we can't go to shopping for too long, so lunch and learn is probably not a bad thing. All right, thank you so much. And I say this is recorded. I will have it edited and upload to YouTube, and I'll share it to everyone who have RSVP. And also, I believe Nigel have a little bit surprise for us. So for everyone who attended and RSVP, yes, they will receive the presentation deck from Nigel. So let us give for everyone. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Nigel so much. Obviously, this thing won't be recorded.